What's up guys, this is your boy Groovies. I'm here at Independent Trading Company at their warehouse right outside of Los Angeles. And I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of a story about Independent Trading Company and how to help you in getting your brand started. But they told me if I want to be at the warehouse and kind of post up here for a little bit, we also got to do some deliveries. But I think we can multitask. I know you're not supposed to like text and drive or nothing like that, but we're going to do a little bit of video making and driving at the same time. So basically, Independent Trading Company got started through their manufacturing relationships in China and overseas. And in fact, when they started back in the mid 80s, like 85, 86, they were working with a bunch of the existing streetwear brands and surf brands in particular. And they were basically doing custom manufacturing runs for these brands. So what that means is they would get all these specs from customers and they would basically go do a full custom manufacturing and run in China, in their factory in China, for all of these different styles. And they grew the business to be huge. I mean, a massive, massive manufacturing company, over the last 20 years. But here's something that's interesting. In 2008, when the financial crisis in the US hit, basically all their major customers that they were working with, like the biggest brands like Volcom, Quicksilver, Gotcha, just Obey, like all the biggest brands were using them to do these custom runs. Well, in 2008, it stopped really making sense for those big brands to take their own risk on making custom products. So instead, they basically moved over to using all the blank pre-made base garments. And this factory that we're whipping around in right here, this is basically all the stock that those giant brands are pulling from. So they've moved away from doing custom runs. Sure, these brands will still do custom runs in China or overseas, but by and large, they're pulling stock from existing warehouses. They're printing. Sometimes they're doing big runs of printing, like screen printing, doing a couple thousand at a pop. They're figuring out what is selling, and then they're basically scaling up. So if they have a style that's working, they'll come back and do another run of 1,000 or 2,000. But really, by and large, to a large extent, gone are the days when brands are just going and creating stuff from scratch overseas. Now, that's not to say that they won't do that at all, but most of their stuff, where they're trying to make a lot of their margin, a lot of their money, is all on really pre-made blank base garments, and it's the embellishment that sets that brand apart or sets that style apart. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just really interesting hanging out with the whole crew from Independent Trading Company and understanding how all of the infrastructure around apparel manufacturing has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. Instead of brands, doing stuff from scratch, a lot of them are using those blank base garments. You kind of see it as you're going through this warehouse, just like how much stock and how much inventory, how many different SKUs exist in terms of different cuts, different styles, different fabrications, different materials exist. I mean, we are basically in the epicenter of fleece, right? So when I say fleece, I'm talking about hoodies and crew necks and stuff like that for manufacturing and distribution here in the US. Like all of these big brands are using Independent Trading Company. And I guess one of the coolest things about here and now, if you're thinking of starting a clothing line, you have access to the exact same resources that the giant brands do. Just like they're using blank base garments, printing, embroidering, cutting tags, swapping tags, or relabeling things, you can too. And all of this infrastructure is basically at your fingertips. You can sell products on demand, you can manufacture products on demand. And I think it's super interesting to hear that the big brands that you see, at retail stores, even places that own their own retail stores, have gotten super smart about merchandising. And what does smart about merchandising mean? It means like doing relatively smaller runs, maybe only running for these guys like 1,000 pieces, putting that product on the shelf, seeing what runs, what sells, and then running more of those. and really getting a pulse on like what's working before they make just big, massive inventory and manufacturing commitments overseas. And so, yeah, it's just great. It's like a huge validation to see that a lot of the things that work for the small guys are also working at scale for the biggest people out there. So that's your boy Groovies from Independent Trading Company. Wanted to say peace be with you, and over and out.